And so I tend to say things 2 or sometimes even 2 times. Number 3, most great speeches have a theme that keep them all together. This one doesn't. Number 4, I like God. This is a Catholic school, and so he's likely to come up. And number 5, I have no idea how to give a proper commencement speech. And so with that, I'm going to begin. So there I was. There were 2 drunken girls passed out in a shrub off to my right. And I was 18 years old, depressed and walking alone on a cold January night. And as I approached these girls in the shrub, I could hear laughter because there were people throwing things at them. While I walked by them, I had no idea that I was about to make a decision, entirely unaware of how important it would become for the rest of my life. Pretty melodramatic, right? See, what I did there is I don't have a good beginning. So when screenwriters don't have a good beginning, they start with the scene near the end of the movie, right? And then they go back to the much more boring beginning that they originally had. And so that's the hook. And that's what I had to do because I don't know how to write a commencement speech and I couldn't come up with a proper beginning. I couldn't even remember the proper thank you graduates, but I'm going to try. So now back to that more boring beginning. You're just going to have to wait to see how that scene fits into this speech a little bit later. Thank you, seniors, for being here. You all look fantastic. Everyone, please give them a huge round of applause. You see, I always ask for rounds of applause when I come in front of people, because in your adult life, unless you go into sports here or if you go into certain liberal arts, you don't often actually get the chance to have applause. You know, if you fall down on the ice and hit your head, maybe one guy applauds. But generally, you don't get very many opportunities from this point on to have a whole room of people applaud you. So I'll probably ask them to do it near the end as well. Of all the things I've done this year, including moving my whole family down, starting a brand new job, selling a house, starting a house, working longer hours than I've ever known, the thing that's caused me the most anxiety has been preparing this speech. And so to the seniors, I would like to say, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. I didn't really need it, but, selfishness, I did it. This speech has created anxiety because from the very beginning, I didn't know the answer to one question. I said that I'm not much of a pomp and circumstance guy, and that question that I couldn't figure out the answer to is, what is the real purpose? That just fell. What is the real purpose of this elaborate showing that we call commencement? Even so, I can imagine why you graduates chose to have me here. Perhaps it's my rugged good looks. Perhaps it's that I look phenomenal in this gown. Maybe it's just my sheer awesomeness. I would like to think, though, that it's the thing that sets me apart from all others, the thing that really makes me great, and that is my overwhelming modesty. So not knowing what commencement is all about, I Googled it, and I did learn one thing. You're supposed to have at least one joke. So here we go. So the first guy walks up to the second guy and says, "Hey, Wendy Evans says you sound like an owl." And the second guy says, "Who?" All right, now that that's settled in. I sat down to write the speech, and instead I watched countless hours of YouTube videos. And after I got to watch Iron Man 3, How It Should Have Ended, and Marcel the Shell, I was then ready to start, and I finished this speech about 10 minutes before I showed up here today. This is the part where in my vast 33 years worth of wisdom, I try to impart practical knowledge upon you graduates. You graduates who belong to an age group famous for loving to listen to old people go on and on and on. Some of you have heard me speak of certain things, and I'm going to repeat them here today. You'll just have to forgive me, but now I'm actually going to begin. Parents and educators, and I told this to my 6th graders, see 3 people when we look at you. We see the young men and women that you currently are, men and women who are excited, hopeful, and ready to go out into the world. But your parents see a lot more than that. They also see the little baby sleeping quietly in their arms, and that little boy or girl who once cried for them because you had a bad dream. So in the next few days, weeks, and months, as you may find it difficult to communicate well with them, you need to forgive them for their emotions. You see, when you tell them, "Hey Mom, I'll see you in a month," they don't only hear it from the mouth of the 18-year-old who is ready to move on, but they also hear it from the mouth of that 5-year-old who isn't. And finally, we see the third person. We see the wonderful people that each of you could possibly be if you just don't screw it all up. Well, congratulations. You're about to be given the freedom and the opportunity to screw it all up. As you move on into the workforce or higher education, you will know a level of freedom that you have never before experienced. After playing 16 hours of straight video games and eating pizza rolls for breakfast, lunch, and pizza for dinner, you will know what it is to have the freedom of not having someone look over your shoulder and the freedom to make terrible decisions. Most of you will find, though, that the next few years will be filled with more excitement and joy than you have ever experienced it. Cherish these next few years because you deserve them. Now, looking at the faces of your parents, families, and friends, it should be strengthening for you. They have invested so much love in you that you will never be rid of them, even if you want to be. Their prayers each night will include you, their thoughts each day will be with you, and their texts will constantly be present at the worst possible times. Because your parents love you unconditionally. I never understood what that love was until I held my own son. He taught me what true love was. You taught that same lesson to your parents, the type of love that never wavers, falters, or quits. It's your fault that they love you so much, not theirs. So again, forgive them their emotions these next few months. As much as you deserve the excitement of your futures, so too do they deserve the conflicted emotions of the present. It's not only the support of your families that you go forth with, it is the support of our Heavenly Father. It is God who has seen to your needs from the beginning. It was God who gifted you to your family. It is His grace that you will feel when later today your mother tearfully hugs you and doesn't want to let go. It is God's patience that you will feel and benefit from when later today He accepts that you are going to visit your friends, even though He wants nothing more than to be by your side. Go forth with God, and we go forth with a God who constantly loves us, who will constantly be beside us, even though we constantly fail Him. In the next few years, your faith will be tested, and all things of faith be resolute. When your Catholic Christian doctrine is challenged, and you find that you do not know how to best defend it, please find someone who does. Questioning faith is okay. Seeking the answers to those questions is wonderful. In the next few years, you will find that your goals change. When I was you, I had decided a few things. I was never going to be that loser who lived in boring Madison, Indiana, who hung out at his old high school, who drove a minivan and had to wear a tie to work every day. And I'm that guy. I'm that guy. But I don't think I'm a loser. Maybe I'm wrong. It's not that I failed. It's that my goals simply changed by choice. I'm going to say this out loud. Your life is not going to be the life you think it will. But let's talk about today. Special days like today are for celebration. We celebrate the important decisions that you have made that have brought you here. Some of these decisions you made in full awareness of their importance, and other decisions you made entirely unaware of how important they would become. Today we celebrate your accepted job offers, your acceptance into the colleges of your dreams, and we celebrate those of you who weren't accepted into the college of your dreams and who are settling for second place, because I've been there. And I'll say it again, your life is not going to be the life you think it will. Perhaps most importantly today, we celebrate the friends that you have gained, and we celebrate the memory of friends that you have lost, for which we will now take a brief moment of silence. Thank you. So please enjoy this day and enjoy the next few months. For some of you, this will be the last time you celebrate with your classmates. It is entirely possible that after this summer, some of you will never see each other's faces ever again, excepting on Facebook photos. However, if you stay vigilant in your relationships, you can ensure that this doesn't happen. Today we anticipate your future and the important decisions that you will make, the relationships that you will have, and the successes that you achieve. Here's the frightening thought. 1 year from today, some of you will be holding the hand of your future spouse. And 5 years from today, some of you will be smiling down as you hold your own little baby that is sleeping quietly within your arms. As frightening as that image may be, it is on that day that you will finally know how strongly your parents have loved you this whole time. And thus, through that knowledge, you will know the beginnings of God's love for us. As emotionally ready as you may feel to start this next stage of life, you may also be feeling that you were small and in way over your head. I was small and I was in way over my head. And so when I was you, I made a terrible mistake. I decided after graduation that I was finally in control of my own life. I went into the world expecting it to lie itself down before me so that I could walk all over it. And when the world refused to lie down, I lost my joy. After graduation, I spent less time each day than the day before in prayer because I saw no immediate benefit. And when I suddenly realized that I was not as happy as the people around me, I felt cheated because it was supposed to be the happiest time of my life, and I wasn't. My mistake was that I tried to make my life all about me. So here's the lesson. Life is not all about us. Life is about loving those around us and loving God. This school has tried to teach you that lesson, the same lesson I ignored. I ignored my responsibility to others, and so in turn, I lost my joy. So there I was. There were 2 drunken girls passed out in a shrub off to my right. I was 18 years old, depressed, and walking alone on a cold January night. And as I approached these girls and the shrub, I could hear laughter because there were people throwing things at them. And while I walked by, I had no idea that I was about to make a decision that would have a huge impact on my life. In my bitterness at the time, I thought it serves them right because they put themselves into this situation. And so I left them there and I walked past. And then I saw the slight glow of a cigarette butt as it landed on one of them. It was at that point that I heard my former religion teacher's voice in my head. I heard her say my name, Kurt. You see, most of you can't relate to this, but one of you can. My former religion teacher had been my mother. That one imagined word, Kurt, shamed me because I could imagine my mother's disappointment and the apathy that I was showing towards those 2 helpless girls. And so I did what this school had tried to teach me. I acted in a way that is asked of us by our God. It wasn't difficult, it wasn't heroic, it wasn't at all about me, but it was an attempt to be selfless. And so I turned around. I woke one girl and I lifted the other into my arms and I carried her up 8 flights of stairs. Then, as the conscious girl, who was still very inebriated, tried unsuccessfully to open the door to their room, I looked down the hallway and there stood the most beautiful girl that I'd ever seen, someone who I wouldn't have ever seen had I not done this task. And this beautiful girl looked down the hallway at me, and unfortunately she just saw some creeper trying to get into the room. I can't tell you her first words to me because they weren't exactly appropriate. I can tell you that I knew she was trying to protect those girls and that I immediately respected her for it. I can also tell you that after years and years of elaborate shows of love, she eventually did say to me, I do. You see, God in life rewards selflessness because life is not all about us. I figured it out then. I'm small and that's okay. I always have been in over my head and that's okay. I'm not a genius. I'm not ruggedly handsome, and I promise you I'm not nearly as conceited as I pretend to be, and all that's okay. I don't need any of those qualities, but we all do need to try to be better. We all do need to try to be selfless. We don't always have to succeed, but we need to always try. Every good thing in my entire life has not come from my own hands. Every good thing that has not come from money or power. Every good thing that has come from the grace that I feel every day due to the presence of those people who surround me, because this grace is a gift from God. That is why I now challenge you graduates to commence, to go out and try to be good to those around you, to be selfless, or at least try, to make people smile, and occasionally, go to elaborate lengths to make sure that people know just how much they are loved. And that is the answer to my original question. What is the real purpose of this elaborate showing that we call commencement? It is an elaborate length that we go through to make sure that you graduates know just how much you are loved, so that you can go forth with confidence, knowing that all of us here are cheering for you, and that when you falter, all of us will be here for you. So remember, if you ever hear the voice of reason in your head and it sounds a lot like your mom, you should listen to your mother. Be selfless, and joy will follow where you go. Smile, celebrate, and commence, and finally trust in God. If you do so, God will not let you get in the way of your own happiness. And that is why I can say with great honesty, your life is not going to be the life you think it will. It's going to be even better. Thank you.